Namaste. Namaste and a very, very warm welcome to our Women of Wonder podcast series. This is our coffee table special edition where we bring on women achievers who are getting featured in our upcoming coffee table book. My guest today is really, really special. I've known her for a lot of years now. Some women heal bodies, some women heal hearts. My guest today does both through her profession and her passion in what she does. At her age, I'm amazed with her energy. I'm amazed with how she shows up every day. When I said 2025 was the year of showing up, I think she's the epitome of showing up every day, everywhere. Whether it's a networking session, whether it's a wellness session, whether it is just showing up to meet more people, Dr. Rajal is an amazing, amazing inspiration for all of us. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome her on the show. Welcome, Dr. Rajal. It's lovely to have you here.
Thank you so much, Rima, and namaste to everyone who's watching this. And thank you, Rima, for this fabulous opportunity you've given us to showcase ourselves through you. So this is amazing, really.
Yeah, I'm so excited to unfold what comes in our conversation, right? So, because we're doing the coffee table book, we thought people need to listen and hear to you, which is why we're doing this podcast. And the podcast is meant to talk about your journey. So, I'm going to start with your profession first, Dr. Rajal. You deliver babies for a living, right? You're a leading gynecologist and obstetrician in Dubai, one of the most hunted ones women come to. Those were the little beginnings of life. How did it shape and how did it shape the purpose that you have today?
So every delivery is actually a reminder that we are part of something much bigger. It is not just about bringing babies into this world. It's shaped my role to actually ensure that women feel safe, they feel seen, and they also feel respected, as they trust you in their most vulnerable moments and their powerful moments also. Because imagine a woman delivering a baby, she's at her powerful most at that time. She's bringing life into this world. It's made me passionate actually about helping women sustain their health, vitality, and joy much after childbirth. I feel that they should, the happiness that they feel should be throughout their life. It should not be just related to childbirth and, coming to see a gynecologist only because you're going to have a baby, basically. So continuing care in all stages of their life is what has been, how that has actually changed my purpose. And my place in this world, I feel, is to stand alongside that woman at every step of her life.
Beautiful. And guys, I have to say, not only delivering babies, Dr. Rajal very successfully now runs what we call as the Pink Cooking Challenge. And honestly, this is how I actually got introduced to you about 4 years back, right? This year, we are into our 10th edition, isn't it?
Yes, this is the 10th edition. I'm feeling so proud of that, actually, Rima. I can't believe you've come over here.
Consistency is the name of the game, and I think I'm so happy and so proud of you that we are reaching our 10th edition. Now, Dr. Rajal, medicine demands precision, cooking demands creativity. Now, how do you switch between science and soul so efficiently?
Actually, Rima, for me, medicine and cooking aren't so different.
Okay.
They are both, different aspects of or acts of care, basically. In medicine, I would follow evidence-based, whatever I've learned practices and respect the science and which can actually save lives. While in cooking, I follow my senses, I follow my instincts. It is also to be done with precision or by instinct. But if we do it with instinct also, we become precise over a period of time when we are doing it. And so I feel that we are respecting traditions and flavors and actually nourishing our soul through that. So the switch happens quite easily for me when, because both require presence, patience, and both actually, you have to listen in both the cases. In one, I have to listen to patients, and in the other, I have to listen to what that pot is telling me when there's cooking going on. So both ways, every ingredient also tells a story. So
Yeah, and I've seen some of your, food blogs and how the way you cover the ingredients, and it is also about a happy life with a healthy life together, right? Dr. Raju, let's go back to our home. So Dubai is what we call home today, and I know that you moved to Dubai mid-career, right? You were a leading gynecologist in India. Did you ever think landing into Dubai? What have I done? Why have I come here? What happened to my career in India? What was that transition like?
So, it's not just one moment. There are many moments where I felt,
Hmm.
um, what did I do? I really sat up and I thought there were so many ups and downs, Rima, that I've been only concentrating on the larger picture throughout. And I can say that I have no regrets actually with the move. The universe probably had a plan that was, involving not only a change in my career direction partially, but also helped me to grow in so many other ways and offered my family also so much more through, though there were so many compromises that we made as a couple also with my husband. We made compromises, but it really gave my son something different to do also, which I think I'm very grateful for. So I missed a lot of Mumbai. I miss family. I miss friends. And when you move in midlife, which is what I did, I was 46 when I moved over here. It's very difficult, but it actually introduced me to a part of me, myself, more than anything else, which I'm extremely, extremely grateful for.
Amazing. And so me, myself, and being holistically healthy, right? You've almost embodied that today. You talk about it. You're a living example of it. Now, everybody, each of us has our own griefs and own pains and own journeys, so to say, right? And I think you've mentioned in the coffee table book that losing your father became a big turning point in your life. Tell us more about how did that grief push you towards holistic healing?
So when my father passed away, I realized that actually I was ignoring a lot of my own problems before that.
Hmm.
Because there was always just enough time to look after patients, run from one hospital to another hospital, and go on stuffing medicines down my throat without thinking what those were also doing to me
Hmm.
more than anything else. And when my father passed away, I went through a phase of a certain type of illness that is autoimmune in nature,
Okay.
which came up, and nothing that I did from conventional medicine point of view took care of that. I kept reading and reading more and more about things. This was more than 13 years, about 13 years back. And when I read and I realized that nothing is helping me, I just went and tried things that integrative medicine, functional medicine was talking about. That made me read more because I started reversing my condition and I went into remission. I was for the first time feeling more energetic, less pain in my joints. I had lesions in on my body which I could not explain at that time. I could not go on taking antibiotics again and again. Even I knew that, but I had no other option from the medical point of view. So that changed everything for me in a way and made me realize that I need to bring this to my patients also more than anything else. So the change in food, the change in the way I perceived things, everything changed after that.
And you live it today, isn't it? Holistic healing is what you teach and preach to your students, especially with your new venture recently, isn't it?
Yes, I've just started Reset by Dr. Rajul, and it's because I realize that women need a little hand holding, especially those who don't know how to consistently go on doing it. It's
Hmm.
not, if your body is telling you everything is fine, you don't need to come in for any kind of, hand holding or anything like that. But it's consistency. And I understand it because even I slip up, Rima.
Yeah.
I also don't always eat healthy, don't always make the right choices, and my body punishes me for that. So I think I realize that very well.
So you're a great example of a doctor, right? You're a doctor. Let me tell. You're a blogger. You're a lifestyle blogger. I've seen some of your beautiful blogs. You are a chef, a culinary artist. Let's talk about the roles women play. Which role do you think, what's that one role people often overlook when they're trying to be different things? You're a mother, you're a daughter, you're a sister, and you have all these professional roles that you play.
I think um, when I'm really thinking about this, Rima, I feel I've been able to play all these roles because I'm a listener over anything else. Listening has been, it has actually taught me that healing isn't about prescriptions. Sometimes it's simply about making space for the opposite person to say what they want to say instead of rushing in, fixing things, judging people. So, listening is a skill that has shaped my life intentionally or non intentionally, I would say, in a way. And, because where healing begins, trust comes in over there. It's because of trust. And then the transformation starts over there. So I think if people probably realize that I listen, which I think not many people clearly would be able to pinpoint and say that I'm a good listener, but patients do say it in different ways because they feel very heard. They feel I give them enough time. They feel that for the first time, somebody has heard us talking. And I realized this over, even when I was very new in practice, I had women who had no say, and back home, people would come in with families, the husband, the mother-in-law, everybody would be in the room. And even at that time, unintentionally, not realizing that I wanted to listen to what the patient wanted to say, I used to tell everybody, please wait outside. I will talk to the patient alone. So I think that was part of this listening process, which I realized in many years now also that this is very important to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important and very, very valid point, right? Listening to yourself, listening to your patients, listening to everybody around you.
That is also a very important sort of quality that I have, that I would allow somebody to tell me their viewpoint, to listen more than anything else.
And as your role as a doctor, especially gynecologists, yeah, we all obviously come to you with very private problems, right? Or issues that we need to discuss with the doctor. It's kind of one of those, it's not a GP kind of a role, right? It's a very, very intimate role that you have. Now, Dr. Rajul, what makes your heart race? Whether it's delivering babies, or is it like judging big shows, or where does your heart lie?
Delivering babies for sure.
Really?
Without fail, meaning it makes my heart race in a way that, see, I feel very passionate about judging shows and about, talking about cooking and about educating and all of that. But delivering babies is fascinating. It's bringing in a new life. It does something to my senses which nothing else does, in a sense that, when the baby delivers and it takes its first breath through a cry, it releases such endorphins in my body. I'm saying endorphins as a medical word, but what I mean is that I'm in awe. I'm in awe and relief at the same time, which I think does not happen with anything else that I do in that sense. So I think when my heart really races, it is delivering a baby, and when the baby delivers, I think.
Do you by any chance have a count how many babies you've delivered so far?
I don't have a full count.
What's your estimate? What does that number look like, right? How many? It's so beautiful. You're bringing a soul to life. You're bringing a baby, and you're giving it a new life, right? So, what do you think is the estimate? Do you have any number? Like, I'm just guessing.
It's over 1,000 for sure. There was a time, Rima, I was doing 35, 40 deliveries a month back in India.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh my God, that's really amazing. Hats off to you.
But in the last few years now, I'm not delivering babies. I look after antenatally, but I'm not delivering because it takes so much of me away. And I feel I'm doing so many other things that I want to be available for them, to check them up and everything, but I don't go to the hospital to deliver them anymore.
Yeah. So let's talk about when you meet these women and you talk about health with them. What is the biggest myth you have heard from these women, which you would love to bust today?
Okay. There is one thing that people talk about. They say feeling exhausted, moody, or in pain. So many women have these as their primary symptoms that they come to me with. So this is just part of being a woman, and you have to live with it. This is a myth. You don't have to live with it. Okay?
But isn't
Women,
that the hormones playing a role? That's it's kind of blame it
yes.
on the hormones
So,
theory,
so
right?
you don't have to live with it. You can actually balance your hormones and
Hmm.
you can make this all go away. Why should you suffer in silence and normalize your symptoms? Okay, your body is actually signaling you, telling you that something is off,
Hmm.
whether it is a hormonal imbalance, whether it is nutritional deficiency, whether it is inflammatory or another health issue.
Hmm.
It's actually telling you that chronic fatigue, mood swings, painful periods, brain fog, this is not something that is associated, it's normal with womanhood. You
Hmm.
need to look for, answers and take better care of yourself and also find better care to feel balanced more than anything else. So you need to have that vitality, vibrancy in your body. And if you think old age is coming and this is happening,
Yeah.
it's not something
Blame
you
it
should
on
do.
the menopause, right? Everybody around me is talking about menopause these days.
Yes.
What's your advice to women who are entering menopause or going through menopause? What should they do?
So I'll tell you, perimenopause comes nearly 10 years before menopause hits you.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So you would be expected to go into menopause anytime between 45 to 55 years of age.
Hmm.
So perimenopause can sometimes start as early as 35 also for some women.
Hmm.
Okay. And you get signs and symptoms of, this irregular periods can happen at that time.
Yeah.
You can have mood swings, you can have bloating, you can have joint pains, all these things can happen. But
Hmm.
all these things can be balanced through certain foods and you can make these go away. So it's not only just food, it is also lifestyle. So it's how you exercise, how
Hmm.
you sleep, how you cope with stress. I'll say today's stress cannot be removed from anybody's body.
Hmm.
But when you cope with it correctly, it actually makes you not feel many of those symptoms. And then those people who very severely feel the symptoms also, there is HRT. That means there is menopausal hormone replacement,
Yeah.
as we call it, which
Hmm.
we can do naturally or we can even do it chemically. So that's
Okay.
both. So it's about recognizing it. It's about talking about it. It's not about suffering in silence.
Yeah, very interesting that you say that, right? So I'm sure when you take women through these journeys of recognizing it, healing them naturally in the most natural way that we can do, I'm sure you get a lot of compliments, right?
Yes.
You changed a lot of lives. Can you share any story or like one compliment that has stayed with you, always since long?
So okay, I really feel when women when they thank me, of course, so many women thank me that I feel, yeah, it's something that I do. I don't give it much importance. But there was someone who actually cried and told me that you didn't just treat me, you
Hmm.
actually saw me.
Hmm.
And when somebody says that, it has stayed with me more because that is exactly what I want all my patients to feel in my care more than anything else. And I do that. I actually strive to do that. I mean, in a way that I hear them. I want to heal them as a whole. I don't want to just heal one symptom or one sign.
Hmm.
And it's so that they feel that it's not just being examined, they've been understood more than anything else.
Right.
It's not just an examination, it's not just writing prescriptions, it's about giving them hope more
Hmm.
than anything. So, and I think human connections really matter. So
Hmm.
for me, I really get close to my patients also. It makes
Hmm.
me happy to know that they can connect with me through my experiences also. I share my experiences. I've gone through so much of medical things myself.
Hmm.
I've had IVFs, failed ones. I've had multiple issues, which I share so that they feel hope, because my child was born to me naturally after trying for 11 years with
Hmm.
3 failed IVFs also. So this really gives the patient, all my infertility patients hear my story because it gives them hope and it gives them the strength to go on, because the treatment is not easy.
Yes.
So
And the
that's
journey
just,
is very lonely, right? The couple,
yeah.
typically you and your husband, and hopefully a supportive husband, are going through this together. But I think the doctor is the only person you can trust in that journey. People usually do not go out in public and talk about IVF
Talk about
until
it.
they've done the process and they've been through the journey, right? So
Absolutely.
having a doctor like you who listens helps them at least makes the journey a bit easier. And there's somebody along with you. Now, one
Yeah.
of the other ways which I want to pick up now is the pink cooking challenge. So let's get to it now.
Yeah.
The 10th year, lots of stories over the years. What's cooking? What are we cooking for this year? I think the date is finalized. I remember I heard it. If you want to share it,
Yes,
everyone, if you are comfortable, please share it. If not, we can.
absolutely. I wanted to save the date.
Yes. So tell us more about what's coming. Tell us any stories you would like to hear. Tell us any message you have from the Pink Cooking Challenge.
Yes, Rima. So 4th of October is going to
Yay!
be the Pink Cooking Challenge in its 10th edition.
Yes.
And this one, I want to make it more celebratory than just running an event. Yes, we give away a lot of prizes.
Yeah.
We do all of that. We do a cooking competition mainly so that women will just think that what ingredients am I using? What is my cooking process? Am I doing these things correctly for health? That is
Right.
the idea of running the cooking competition.
Yes.
But I think the real thing, that I want people to understand is that it's the story of awareness that should never stop.
Right.
I do this for awareness. I do this for educating people. It empowers them with a tool that, when applied correctly to their own bodies and themselves, they can heal themselves in their lives. They can make a difference to other people who they know in their lives.
So how can people sign up to it, Dr. Rajul? How can one be a part of this? What are the options on the table?
So at the moment, we are in the process of, mostly it comes out on Facebook as a Facebook event.
Right.
This year, I will be putting it out on Facebook also. Keep an eye out for it because I have limited seats at this time.
Yeah.
Because this year we're doing it. I won't say where we are doing it yet, but it'll come out soon. Keep an eye out for it. Please be part of it. I would love for all of you all to be a part of something that has brought me here to the 10th year. And yes, there will be a lot of prizes. There will be a lot of fun. There will be something to celebrate together with.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. It's going to be amazing. It's so important that we wanted to launch the coffee table book on 4th October, but we've changed the date because we're all going to
You've been very kind.
because we're all going to the pink cooking challenge. So I think we want that. We want it to be a very memorable day.
Absolutely.
I know it's
You
a
have to
special
come,
day.
Rima,
I
without
will be
fail.
there, and I'm sure a lot of our IWN members also are going to be there. The
Yes.
community is going to be there. Absolutely. Dr. Rajul, coming to the end of the show, a lot of Indian women, especially Indian expats here in the UAE, will be watching this show. What's your one message to every woman out there that she should, somebody who's trying to follow her passion, follow her professional life, have a career, but also have a family? What would you tell them?
Normally, when I tell women health related, I tell them you're unique. And don't forget that your health needs are also unique. Okay. So listen to your body. But today I'm going to say something because we're talking about your passion along with your career.
Yeah.
Then I will say that protect your curiosity.
Okay.
It's the bridge between your career and passion. I don't let my curiosity die ever. I am so curious. I keep reading constantly, even if it's a subject not related to something that is my field. Whether it is medicine, whether it is cooking, whether it is health, anything. I read more and more about whatever I can bring in because you know what? I carry it forward. I actually help other women with it. So I think careers give you stability, but curiosity actually makes you grow, experimenting, finding joy in that and your work. And you should let passion, come into your profession in small ways daily. I feel that even if you're in a mundane job, many people feel that I'm stuck in this job. I cannot do anything. But then you bring a little amount of what you love into your job daily and make something that really drains you out, make that a little less daily. Ultimately, your passion will go over and it will become your career one day.
Yeah. Beautiful. I mean, those beautiful, beautiful words, guys. So keep your passion alive with your profession and keep that curiosity alive. What beautiful words of wisdom from our women achiever and women of wonder, Dr. Rajul. I get inspired by her energy every day, whether it's being a doctor, an artist, a community, a part of the community. She's everywhere. And this is such an inspiration of this is what I want to look up, when I am your age, and I want to have more, as much energy as you do, and as
I
much
hope you're
motivation.
better than me when you come to my age.
No, I think
Really.
it's very difficult to beat you, honestly. You're doing very well. You're like here for me. But amazing work, Dr. Rajul. Kudos to you, and many congratulations for Reset by Dr. Rajul. We were so
Thank
glad
you.
to
Thank
launch
you
it a
so
few days
much.
ago, and I'm sure there's so many big things coming in Reset by Dr. Rajul over time. All the very best for the Pink Cooking Challenge. I know the next
Thank you.
2 months are going to be busy until we get to the event. It's going to be a busy run for you, but I'm
Yes.
sure it's going to be a very, very super successful event. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom. Guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe and share this with a friend who can learn from her beautiful journey. Because even if one woman watches this episode and gets inspired, I think we both have done our work. And that is the intention of doing this podcast with her. With that, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back with
Thank
another
you.
Women of
Thank
Wonder.
you, Reema, again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes.